City Council meeting November 27th into order, please. If everybody could have a seat. All right. Today we're gonna have Pastor Megan Palmer of Celebration Church give her our prayer. Is she here? Not here. All right. Somebody shut that door. I appreciate it. Boone, you'll give us a prayer, please, sir.
No problem.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Our dear Father, Lord, we thank you so much for this weekend and this holidays that you've given us, Lord. We thank you for the many blessings you've given this town, Lord. Be with this council, Lord, as we come to and make these decisions based on your will. Lead, guide, direct us in all that we do, and take care of this town, Lord. In your blessed name we pray. Amen.
All right. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right, very good. All right, council, if I can get approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, report from the mayor.
Thank you, council. I just have a couple things. First, I want to thank all those first responders that worked over the Thanksgiving holiday. I know the fire department in particular and the police department were both very busy, so appreciate their dedication to the city and what they do every day, but especially on the holidays. Also wanted to commend the gas department. They were audited by the Public Service Commission, by the state, and also the federal government, and received, said that they were found in satisfactory compliance with state and federal natural gas distribution safety guidelines. So just want to congratulate them on that. That's a lot of hard work on behalf of the staff, and just appreciate, again, what they do. Also want to remind everybody that we are transitioning to a new agenda software called Civic Plus that's being handled out of the city clerk's office. She has been sending out emails to anybody on our current distribution list, but if you did want to sign up to receive agenda packets or anything like that and you're having any kind of issues, please reach out to Lisa Hanks or Jenny in the clerk's office, and they're happy to assist you. Also this week we proclaimed it National Home Care and Hospice Month, so thanking those folks for what they do every day for taking care of people who are at their end of life care, and just wanted to recognize that because we are celebrating again National Home Care and Hospice Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Next, we'll have the participation, public participation. You have 3 minutes maximum for agenda items 5 through 27, 25 actually, 5 through 25. Anybody to speak on agenda items 5 through 25, please come to the podium, state your name and your address to speak on an agenda item. All right. Hearing none. Council comments.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to the Christmas parade, and hope to see everybody out on Friday. I get to go first for a change, instead of last for all those years. So I know you were all going to say that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, yeah, thanks to all the first responders, the police department, the fire department. I know you had a really busy holiday, so we appreciate you getting out there and taking care of the people of Fairhope. That's all.
Yep, no comments here.
Okay. Councilman Robinson.
No comments here.
Councilman Boone.
No comments.
All right. Well, I guess I'll piggyback on Jack, man. That was, we hate to see things happen in our community as far as property being destroyed by fire and things of that nature. But, if it burns down, we just build it back. And I'm thinking they're going to build that McDonald's back. I'm glad that no one was hurt. I checked on the guys. I was coming home from about 11:30 at night, and they still were out there. So I text Chief Ellis to make sure they were okay. Of course, he was busy, but I did check on him. But especially during this time, we're glad that no one was hurt. And Merry Christmas, guys. It's here. That's for sure. All right. Agenda item number 5 is a public hearing. It's an ordinance, amend zoning ordinance number 1253, request of owner 404 Oak LLC to rezone property from B4 Business and Professional District to B2 General Business District. The property is approximately .18 acres and is located at 404 Oak Avenue. Can I get someone to introduce this ordinance, please?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Councilman Robinson. All right, Hunter?
Thank you, Council President.
Yes, sir.
So I'll start with the zoning map. Currently, the property is zoned B4. This is across from the Art Center. If you recall, there's now an empty lot fronting Section Street, and it has been an empty lot fronting Bancroft. This was formerly a house/architect's office. It's been purchased, and the immediate desires turned it into a restaurant. The B4 zoning does not allow a restaurant. This is within the CBD, so kind of discussing that quickly. The property does have access, in addition to the fronting Oak Street, of an easement through the adjacent property from Bancroft. And that easement agreement is recorded. So this did go through our planning commission as an MOP to create 3 residential units and 1 office unit, which are allowed in the B zoning districts. But restaurants were not. So there was a kind of a change in plans and wanting to turn that into a nice upscale restaurant. And we kind of looked at all of the zoning districts that may allow that. While we would not support B2 on the edge of the CBD, that's maybe right across the street from residential, this has quite a bit of a buffer. Some of the conditions like B3B may allow a restaurant, but there'd be more steps. We know what the building looks like here. It would just be turning into another use. There's our 2 definitions of the 2 districts if we need them. With a zoning change in the CBD, our zoning ordinance has a special condition there that when we make zoning changes, we can make special conditions. So this was recommended to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission unanimously recommends to you by allowing this zoning change, but limiting some of the uses in the table, and they are listed on the screen. So the recommendation of approval prohibits automobile service station, auto repair, personal storage, boarding house or dormitory, recreational vehicle park, kennel or animal hospital, convenience store, and clinic on this property. So while it will be B2 by this approval, it will have some limitations set on it that will run with that property unless they come back to you and change that, or any future council members. This did come through Planning Commission unanimously, so if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. This is straight zoning request. We'll, I assume, lay over and be back next meeting as well.
Okay. All right, we'll open the public hearing at this time. If anyone wants to speak on this particular ordinance, please do not hesitate to come to the podium.
I've got a question real quick, and this is just, I guess it's a question for Hunter, it's a question for the rest of the council members, just as a thought. When we have these zoning requests come, and we're looking at putting some limitations on what something can be zoned, is there any thought given to just allowing an exception on the current zoning for the use? I mean, where do you decide, you're gonna rezone it, but then put a bunch of limitations on? Could you just vote for an adjustment to allow them to operate a restaurant in that and leave the zoning as is?
There is a process there. It would require some pretty significant changes. That is a conditional use is a term it's commonly known as. Those are uses that come to the council, have some kind of strict guidelines you have to set up per use. So in this case, a restaurant. You might say a restaurant has to have parking, if it wasn't in the CBD, regardless of the zoning. Or you can say it's allowed in all these zoning districts, but still has to get that site plan approval. But from B4, I think looking at it, stepping back and looking at big picture, B4 is for office use, professional office use. So I think the zoning change in this case is more appropriate. And it guts almost says, well, yeah, let that happen anywhere in the CBD. But there are some places that do abut residential property, or at least staff wouldn't recommend a change like this. So I think the appropriate, in this particular scenario, this works, and the tools in the CBD allow us to limit the uses. Conditional use, if you want to explore that, I'm all for it, but that's a lot more on your agendas, and
Yeah.
that are now being reviewed by the Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, and Council President, I also think, and it's a good question, Jimmy.
It
and
is.
I want
And I
to
want to talk about it,
piggyback on
too.
that with some other thoughts that I have, and I don't know how strongly I feel about, I'm gonna throw them out there maybe for debate anyway, is that when you allow the zoning change, it's a little bit easier to say, to impose some of these restrictions. It's just as a matter of procedure, it's a lot easier to have these recommendations, and we don't have to accept them, or we could add our own recommendations. And I'll make a comment about what the use is. I think it's a pretty good use. It's a great place, and I like the look of this. And so this is kind of unique. We have a lot of unique residences, and I know this is an office now in Fairhope, but it adds character, it adds charm. And every time we run for office, we all say we want to preserve the character and charm of Fairhope, do we not? It's probably on every one of our push cards. Probably mayors, it's probably on everybody that ever ran for office here, right? And it's probably right at the top. And so to that end, I just kind of throw out there for the council to consider, would you want to put a restriction that this can't be changed? I mean, the use could change maybe within the zoning, but you can't really change by too much. I mean, you might want to put some flexibility in the structure itself for a period of 10 years. That way, you're giving them something, you're giving them rezoning, you're giving them the use the way they want to use it, but in return, I'd like to say, we'd kind of like to keep that charm there for at least a period of 10 years.
And I
I just throw that out there.
Yeah, and
It just
I think
crossed my mind.
that has a lot to do with the preservation idea that we have that's coming up, hopefully, that everybody's on the same page, when you're trying to keep that charm and kind of have that idea. But this one, Jimmy, I think when I read it and I looked at the uses, when I was talking to Lori on the radio this morning, it was so far from a B4 use that I think just changing conditional change would totally restructure the whole idea of the B4 that we have right now. Now, we can go back, like Hunter said, and we can go and start moving those around, but the way we have it right now, if you look down the use, is so far removed that it wouldn't be as easy just to say that's a conditional, because I think you would then, confound future uses, conditional uses, when you go that far from what B4 was originally created to do. Yeah, that's a great, that's a great question. But when you look at the chart, Hunter, B4s, B2s are all right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
so
on
it's
the
not
edge.
like it doesn't fit that area at all. So,
Right.
I had no problem with just the.
Does anybody want to comment on my question about maybe imposing a restriction that you can't materially change that by too much? I don't
Well,
know.
I thought that's what we're talking with the historical. I thought that's what, can we?
Well,
can
yeah,
we-
but it's
We're
not
not
in
in
there
the
now.
historic
This one
building.
wouldn't classify as historical because it's a relatively new structure.
Yes, it is.
But I'm
And
saying, the restaurant doesn't work out, let's just tear it down and try to build condos now because it's B2.
No, I get it, but yeah. Can you, I don't have a problem with it if that's legal, but.
I don't think there's, on this property, there's not too much. I know to make this a viable restaurant, there's some kitchen space that will have to be added, as we haven't looked at final. So I know there is some on the side, 1-story, some kitchen space, but I believe the majority of the rest of it will be
Yeah, I'm not saying they
interior
can't.
renovations.
Yeah, but to ensure going forward that you maintain the charm of downtown There's nothing that says we can't add that restriction in there, right?
Yeah, so Jack, Councilman Burrell, if I may, so are you saying like, so, for instance, God willing, something flood happens where it has to be torn down or this or that, when something comes back, it has to create that same charm?
Well,
I mean-
that's taking it a step further. I was
That's-
just saying, in the near term, it can't be torn down and anything else built in its place once it's,
But I'm being devil's advocate, so what if it has to be or something destroyed, like so we would have to think about all that as well. And then we would have to think about the precedent on future places in
I'm
downtown.
fine with thinking about the future. I'm fine with the precedent.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, yeah, so,
I think the concept he's mentioning is somebody doesn't come out with a half-hearted approach and try to backdoor into a different use
Well,
than
yeah,
what
I'm
was
not,
maybe.
I'm not
No,
saying that they
you're
are,
talking
but
about
I
actual
just
charm.
know
No, I'm
that
not saying
everything
that
in this
either.
town goes through the best and highest use, and everything in this
Right.
town is as much density and as much residential use as you can make of it. That's just it. I mean, if everybody could go straight to apartment buildings in this city, that's exactly what they would go to, because that's the best and highest use. The second thing would be townhomes and condos, and that's where everything gravitates.
right?
So I'm saying to preserve that, would we put a restriction, and I didn't say forever, but, some time period to say, you can't substantially change that structure for a period of that in exchange for rezoning.
Right, so in this case, are they talking about
be-
doing that? Just asking, I didn't
I'm
read
just-
that anywhere. Are
No,
they
but I-
thinking about restructuring that to put like, would they keep the charm of the house? That's what I was assuming, and I shouldn't assume.
Well, no, I'm assuming they're gonna keep the
Well,
charm
what
of the
you have to
house too.
protect
I'm
is not
saying
what they're
that,
gonna do, is what they sell it, if they sell it, what they're gonna do. And if they
Exactly.
sell it twice, what they're gonna do.
Right, I get that, but originally, though, they're planning on keeping that particular charm,
Originally,
from
yeah.
what we understand. Okay.
And I'm not trying to drag, I mean, these folks, I feel like I'm sort of dragging them in.
yeah, I'm
with my
not trying to
larger
pick on them, but
question,
this is a precedent-setting thing. and-
It is.
And this
It
is
happens
a
over and over where-
perfect opportunity to preserve the charm and character of the city, at least for a given amount of time, so that, it doesn't get turned into just another multi-unit development.
Got it.
So, and the only challenge I have is what is substantial. I know there is plans.
I know
and
we're
they do-
smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, there is I mean, they even on their application, they say the commercial kitchen will be an
Yeah, they
addition.
can do that. I mean,
But
but,
that's on the inside, I think he's talking
No,
about,
it will actually be an exterior
Yeah, that's fine.
addition.
yeah.
they would expand it.
But all within the property lines, and,
Within the
and there
property
may be some energies with other adjacent properties as they develop that might require some connectivity.
I hate being this inaccurate, but you could change it materially. That's kind of generic, and that could be argued, but, it would at least, maybe prevent a major overhaul of it. Or you could say the original structure cannot be, you add on to it, are you altering the original structure?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what,
Yeah,
so
that's-
all
that's
those
a-
things have to be,
You could put, so
thank you.
materially. when you-
Yeah.
when
What's
you-
the word I'm looking for, Mr.
Well,
Attorney?
the problem with that
Yeah,
is when
that's
you
what I'm
start using that language that, when you try to be ambiguous in your favor and you're the drafter,
I know.
it's construed against you. And if I'm the builder, I say it ain't material.
How do we put some elasticity into that when it has teeth?
You could, if your goal was to keep somebody from getting it rezoned and then tearing it down 2 years later to build townhomes in its
Right.
place, you could put something in there that it can't be materially altered more than a certain percentage of the square footage of the existing structure.
Yeah, say
Okay.
more than
So-
30%.
That's more definitive.
You can say more than 30%.
And we do that
30% of
already,
would
right,
be
with
a
certain places.
Tremendous amount, right?
30% would be, and I mean, knowing that this lays over, assuming that no one, I can kind of check, see what square footage is being moved, make sure.
you could, I said 30 just as a number. I mean, it
Yeah,
could
but-
be 50. I mean, if your goal is to prevent it from being torn down or completely redone
Yeah.
to something else, you could pick.
50%
be
even,
a
just
50, yeah.
something to
Right.
deter that.
Now, we do this, correct, Director? Don't we have some things like this, if I remember correctly?
There are certain situations we can. I don't have
Yeah.
I don't think it makes financial sense in this one because.
Yeah. No,
you know,
we're just,
but-
not particularly this one, we're just speaking in
Sure.
generalities right now, but we already have language in place that says that you can only redo or do 30% of this to that, or, I
That
remember
gets
reading
into
that into the
some
planning.
non-conforming issues,
Right.
not necessarily in a preservation.
Got you.
Well,
sense.
and I think Councilman Burrell's point is we dealt with something like this, I feel, probably 6 or 7 years ago, where we looked at something very similar, and then within months or a year, it was completely changed from what was
Gotcha.
presented.
Right.
And so.
Right,
in
and I
order to-
feel like that's getting more and more common.
You know, and
Yeah, they know
so,
the
so
game.
we granted rezoning based on a presentation, and then they got the rezoning and completely changed what was
Sure.
presented. And so,
And if they have no chance if they have no plans to change it, then there's no harm, right?
That's exactly right.
Right.
So that's a different kind of language though, right? Like, that's a different language, meaning that you would hold them to their original definition as far as character that they're presenting to us.
well, and I thought, you can't, I
You
know
should-
that we're talking about preserving the character of downtown, but I don't know that you can use that kind of language in what you're asking them to do. I think you'd have to couch it in some way about materially altering the square footage of the structure so that it's not, I mean, because then you start getting into what gives character and what doesn't. And that's
Right, I get it.
That's
Right.
too arbitrary for anybody to decide.
Materials can get
Okay, let me
questionable.
rephrase it. So what I'm saying is if they present something and they say, we're doing this with this particular property, then they have to hold to that they presented.
My-
No,
my issue with
all
that-
they'd have to do is make sure it didn't violate any of these A through H. They
Yeah,
can do
right.
anything.
That's right.
Anything B4 or B2 that's not A through H
Yeah,
without,
Right.
Yeah, what I'm
Because
saying is-
Councilman Martin, if they did
Demolishing
open a
the
restaurant and, and God forbid, it wasn't successful, you don't want to say you can only put a restaurant there because that condemns the
That's a
property.
hardship.
It'd be-
Right.
Yeah, it's a hardship. So
Gotcha.
I'm saying they could still have all those uses in B2.
Right.
At least for a certain period of time, with these exceptions, if they keep that structural, the same and they don't change it by more than, give me a number, 30%, 50%.
Got it. So, yeah, we can work on that with the legal team.
I
That's
mean,
something that
do
we have
y'all
to-
have an interest in imposing that restriction on here?
I would say I do, just based on what we've dealt with on prior situations like this, where we do grant a rezoning for a specific purpose. If that truly is the specific purpose, I'd like us to have a way to kind of hold somebody to that a little bit more than just based on what happened.
Yeah.
And we,
And I think that's the exact reason why in my mind I had put an asterisk by it and just said, hey, I would rather have let them have a conditional
Right.
exception back then rather than rezoning, because we opened
Gotcha.
up this kind of law of unintended consequences, because we didn't think that's the direction it was gonna go.
and sometimes what the generic language is a worry. What if you did just say something along the lines of any substantial changes to the structure, excluding adding a kitchen and things like that? We also have another review. If it's in our interpretation that it's more substantial, maybe it's not a no, but they have to come back in front of the planning commission and city council for a site plan review.
That's not tough enough for me.
You can say no.
No, I'd rather the council impose a restriction on that. Y'all came back with this recommendation, and just me speaking, I would say reintroduce it with and maybe it has to be done at a future meeting to get the exact language in there, and I just say that's a chance you take when you come to us and want to rezone.
It's okay if I send you all a draft before
Well,
the
that's just
next meeting?
mine. They may want to, vote on it next as is,
Yeah.
but that's just what I think. Because this is not going to be the first.
Well, yeah, right, what we don't want to do is what Councilman Robinson and some of our elder councilmen have seen in the past, where people come in and they have a whole nother agenda in mind with a contingency plan. And same as Councilman Conyers, I think that's why he was bringing up the thought, where, their heart really was maybe to do it, but I got a contingency. If it doesn't work, then we'll make sure that we'll make some money. We'll do this by rezoning. We know we got a couple of things that we can do. I mean, I don't mind that, but we don't want people to start moving around and kind of maneuvering with those type of agendas in mind.
I think that's entirely possible, and then our counsel to my right did ask a question. At least my gut is, the way we advertise this is a change from B4 to B2. We don't advertise conditions, so I don't think we have to recycle advertisements and all of those
Do you want to
things.
wait till the next meeting?
We're gonna
If
let
this
it
council thinks should come up with a little better language and then introduce it.
And I'll
if we
send some
had to,
drafts both ways.
We could reintroduce it and maybe, I could
Suspend
say,
the
I'd
rules
be,
or something?
I'd be okay with passing it, suspending with the rules, and that way they're not delayed. It's not a delay in the future.
Sure.
Is that a compromise?
Sounds good to me.
I'm still.
Do we
Corey-
have to
Corey
reintroduce
called
it
me an
because we're
elder
adding
councilman.
an addendum, or we're adding what'd you say, Ben?
I missed that.
So I'm still stuck on the fact that you referred to me as an elder councilman.
I think he's referring to me and Jack.
Well, I mean, time is on my side. But yeah, so do we have to reintroduce it though legally, since we're just amending
He
or
says-
adding
he says
some of the
no.
verbiage? I don't,
Because you're not
I
adding,
don't-
you're
I'm not
adding
changing,
verbiage, but
we just, not to the, right.
not to the thing.
We don't get down to the conditions until you see the staff recommendations and the way it is recommended from the council. That's,
So-
what we advertise is a simple zoning map change.
Right.
From B4 to
Yeah,
B2.
because, I'm guessing legally, the idea is to advertise to the public that that at best, it's gonna be able to do all these things that a B2 can do. But
Right.
if you're coming in here and making it even stricter, or,
Yeah,
right.
then I don't know that why anybody other than the owner would have a problem with that.
And a planned unit development will be a little different. Any change we make there, that becomes the actual ordinance that we have to advertise. So that would be a little
So-
bit more of a challenge.
So we'll just do like we normally do, if you don't mind, council, we'll just let this lay over. Once our legal comes up with the added verbiage to this particular ordinance, we'll bring it back up and see if we can vote on it at that time. That sounds like a plan,
Hunter
guys.
and Marcus, if y'all come up with some language, if you wouldn't mind just sending it to the clerk's office and having her disseminate it to the council to look at and to give her comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll have some more information in the next meeting.
All right. Thank you, Hunter, for that. Wow, that was a pretty good discussion, guys. I enjoyed that.
Need to close the
Agenda
public
item,
hearing.
say it again, ma'am?
You haven't closed the public
The
hearing.
public hearing is closed. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, did I not verbally close it? Public hearing is now closed, officially. All right. All right, agenda item number 6 is a resolution that the public improvements indicated herein for Long Branch are hereby accepted for the public maintenance, subject to the bond posted, and authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute the maintenance and guarantee agreement between the City of Fairhope and Dilworth Development.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda number 7, resolution that the governing body of the City of Fairhope, Alabama hereby rescinds bid number 24003 for 4 new 2023 Chevrolet Tahoes, two-wheel drive for the police department due to no bids received, and authorize the city to solicit for information or informal bids in accordance with the Attorney General's opinion from 1969.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, resolution. The Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a contract for extension number 1 for RFQ Professional Healthcare Services for the Fairhope City Jail with Bay Nursing, Inc., per the terms and conditions of the original contract, with a not-to-exceed budgeted amount of $13,000. This is the first option to renew of the 2 additional one-year terms.
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the contract.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chief talked to us about that earlier. Agenda item number 9, resolution. The engine 911 is hereby declared surplus, and the Fairhope Volunteer Fire Department is authorized and directed to dispose of the personal property purchased by the city of Fairhope, Alabama, for the Fairhope Volunteer Fire Department described in section 1 above by selling such property to Sandcut Volunteer Fire Department in Conecuh County, Alabama, for the sum of $1. We talked about this, guys. Fire chief came up earlier.
Make a motion, we approve the sale as recommended?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? For all of
Chief-
those,
Chief, will they come pick it up? Yes, sir. Okay.
yeah. For all of those that missed, this fire truck is about 30 years old. It has about 21,000 hours on it. We are helping an underserved community and protecting their community by giving them a 500-gallon tank that'll pump 1,500. And I think it's a good deed. We had some concerns about the dollar amount, but Chief explained to that, and I think we'll get our blessings by doing such things. I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, it's a resolution. The City of Fairhope approves the procurement of one Lucas 3V 3.1 chest compression system for Stryker Sales Corporation as sole source provider for a not-to-exceed amount of $19,151.97, and authorized procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama 1975, Section 41-16-51-13.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yep, we don't raise enough tip money on December 13th to pay for it.
I'm good that we have these defibrillators in-house, so that's a good thing. Things happen, okay? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. There's your defibrillator, Chief. Agenda item number 11, resolution to award bid number 24006 for the development of well number 8B and number 13 to Morrow Water Technologies, Inc., with a total bid proposal not to exceed $2.292,873 million.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I hope that Krebs and Morrow are correct and that we'll come in 600 to 700,000 less than the total bid amount.
Yeah, so what Councilman Burrell is speaking of, we talked about this in work session. We have some options in there that they're thinking that they padded this particular investment with about $500,000 to $700,000 more in contingency, and we found out that we'll probably not need those contingencies, so we should get a reduction in the price for those amounts, 500 to 700K in reduction. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm
Yes, sir.
excited about, getting this started so that we can get it hopefully online by May so that we don't experience the same sort of water issues we had this summer with what we had last summer.
And that's in God's name. So, and the timeline was something that why we went ahead. We only had one bid on this, is what the council is talking about, for those that are watching online that don't understand, that come in halfway. So we was concerned about that one bid. We would not want to continue to set that precedent as we push forward with competitive bids to lower our pricing for our citizens and constituents. So, but we did some due diligence, and the reasoning behind it makes sense. And there was some investigating as far as the market is concerned with this price. So I think the council is happy with what we have. Now we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So let's get the wells in the grounds, guys, and start moving forward. All right. Resolution, agenda item number 12, that the city council authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute an interconnection and water purchase sale agreement between the city of Fairhope and the Utilities Board of the City of Daphne, DBA Daphne Utilities.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? This is just paperwork stuff, guys. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, a resolution that the City of Fairhope approves the procurement of a Karis 8700 corrosion inhibitor water treatment chemical as the sole source procurement from distributor Alberti and Blankeny LLC for the not-to-exceed amount of $175,000 and authorize procurement based on the option by the Code of Alabama 1975, Section 41, 16, 51, 13. This is inventory, guys. This is.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Agenda item 14, resolution. The City Council approves the contract amendment for RFQ to Jackson Thornton Certified Public Accountants and Consultants for professional services to evaluate water and sewer system development charges for a not-to-exceed amount of $15,000 and authorize Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute the contract documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, motion passes. All right. Agenda item number 15, resolution that the City Council approves and adopts the recommendations for the Water and Wastewater Department restructuring and reclassifying as follow. Reclassify 1 wastewater plant operator 2, grade 7, 2 wastewater operator trainee, grade 4. This is something that we talked about where we have a guy, we're doing an inside move, could not take the upper classification because he does not have the certificates. So we're going to put him in and try to raise him up to standard.
Move to approve the recommendation.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 16, resolution to award bid number 24004, 2024 PWI 005, construction of ADA compliant sidewalks in Southland Place subdivision to Asphalt Services, Inc., with a total bid proposal not to exceed $1,032,297.75.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just once again want to reiterate, Council President, that, when motion second, vote on $1 million. These things are discussed in detail at the work session. And this has actually been discussed numerous times in work sessions and in council meetings. So if we look like if it's the first time you've joined us tonight and it looks like we're going through $1 million, at the snap of a finger, this is not anything new to us.
And this is a budgeted item that,
Came under budget.
Almost $500,000 under budget?
Yep,
Yep. So thank you.
came
That
under
helps.
budget.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So Council Burrell is 100% correct. We'll stop and talk about some things, but that's why if you didn't come to the work session is a vital part of what we do, because we sit down and we have in-depth conversation about each agenda item and the problems that we have with them. When we get to this point, we're just trying to move the business. Okay. Agenda item number 17, a
We need to
resolution.
vote.
You need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. All right. No further discussion? I had a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Apologize for that, guys. Okay. Agenda item number 16, is that correct? Or 17?
17.
All right, agenda item number 17.
17 was pulled, right?
It was pulled. So agenda item number 18, resolution that the Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Overstreet and Associates Consulting Engineers for professional engineering services for RFQ for new sidewalks on Parker Road with a not-to-exceed amount of $41,100. I think this is a good deal here as far as connectivity to the Triangle property. This is something that's good for our community.
Make a motion, we approve as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just keep in mind that a lot of this will be paid for with MPO funds, 80% MPO funds, and the county. Right.
And what, Mayor?
And the county.
And the county is a shared profit. Okay, it's a shared cost deal. So that's perfect. All right, very good. That's even better. Motion and a second. If I'm hearing no more further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Very good, guys. All right. Agenda item number 19, a resolution that the city of Fairhope approves the procurement of inventory electric transformers from Gresco for a not-to-exceed cost of $250,000 and authorized procurement without formal bid based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama 1975, Section 41-1651B7.
Move to approve the procurement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This is an inventory thing. Director of Electricity, Superintendent Electrical came up and talked about this as far as getting our transformer boxes that we're having a hard time getting them, so we're going out to get some. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Agenda number 27, resolution that the Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Clear Winds Technologies, Inc. for the firewall audit and upgrade for information technology with a not-to-exceed amount of $7,875, and the audit of the city's Fairhope firewall is exempt from the formal bidding per Code of Alabama 1975, Section 41-165115.
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This is a budgeted item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Agenda item number 21, a resolution that the city of Fairhope approves the procurement of materials for the cast iron pipe replacement project for the gas department for a not-to-exceed cost of $142,093.51 and is exempt from formal bidding per Code of Alabama 1975, Section 41-1651B7. This is cast iron that we're putting in the ground. This is just the materials, though, guys.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 22, a resolution that the city council hereby authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan on behalf of the city of Fairhope to execute and purchase agreement and all closing documents related to the sale of the property at the base, I don't like that, at the base of the Fairhope Municipal Pier from the Fairhope Single Tax Corporation for purchase price of $237,500 and allocates funding out of the Municipal Capital Improvement Fund.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I believe that we're getting this 50 cents on the dollar.
I just wanted to say, Fairhope Single Tax continues to just be a fantastic partner to the city of Fairhope, and we really appreciate what they do.
And then lastly, to piggyback on that, if we do, in fact, move forward with putting that exercise in a facility at this location, it'll be used by thousands of people.
I tend to agree with that opinion, Jack. I think it's a great spot for such, if we choose to put it there, I think it'll definitely get used. There's some other things that we got to come to the table about. but I agree. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Good job, guys. Agenda item number 23, a resolution. The Mayor, Sherry Sullivan, is hereby authorized to execute a utility connection agreement between the City of Fairhope and Corty Cave Mitchell 1 LLC, Planters Point Publix Retail Center. So this is just a SDC agreement as far as the utility, sewer, and water that we did with AKA Planters Point Publix Retail.
So moved.
Second?
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I want to say thanks to the utilities and to the mayor and to all those involved with coming up with this agreement. It's pretty lengthy, and it allows that project to move forward, and they need to get it moving forward, and we need to get it moving forward. And I think that we're helping them out, but we're not costing the taxpayers anything by moving this forward now, and that we have some checks and balances. It's a really good job on this document, though. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I think you're not the only one that's ready for this to go forward, Councilman Burrell. I think it's a lot of people that thought they were already be resting their loins there. But so, yes, it was time for this to move forward. So we're excited about that and all the people involved. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Agenda item number 24. This is a request. Aaron Langley, Eastern Shore Repertory Theater, Inc., request approval to use Henry George Park from April 24th, 2024 to May 6th, 2024 for the 11th Annual Theater on the Bluff to present the Andrew Lloyd Webber Classic, Cats, for 3 public performances. In addition, they request usage of the city's barricades and to have the city employees assist in the setup and the removal of the barricades. Now, Paige was not here to speak about this, but we do this, I believe, annually. This is something that we're familiar with, guys. For all that do not know about this, this is, I've taken my family down. This is a great thing that they do. So it's not much to this particular thing. It's
I move to approve the request.
Second?
all right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say Erin Langley's out here in the audience
Oh.
tonight. So
This is
she does an amazing job. If you haven't been to one of her plays, I feel like every year I meet somebody new that has just started in the ESRT journey, and the list of talented alumni is kind of growing larger and larger. And I know Daphne's building a beautiful complex, and they want to share in your amazing productions. I just would ask that we always want you to have a presence in Fairhope too. I know you live here, and you just put on an amazing show and get an awful lot out of those kids. So keep it up.
yeah.
You weren't worried, were you?
Well, well, that's my apologies, Miss Langley. We could have, we didn't want you to have to be so in-depth in the business of Fairhope because we could have moved you to the front. I didn't know you were out there, so I'll take,
That's my
please,
fault for not
please,
saying something
please
earlier.
give me my, a genuine apology about that. Next time, tap me on the shoulder and let me know, and we won't make you sit through all the business like that. We do have that potential power. All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Langley, so much. Yes, ma'am. All right. Agenda item number 25. It's an appointment, Pedestrian and Bicycle Committee, beginning January the 24th. Anybody have a name?
I move to appoint Mr. Johnny Pruitt for a 3-year term.
Johnny Pruitt.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No problems with Mr. Pruitt. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries for Mr. Pruitt's appointment. All right, guys, here we are, public participation. You have 3 minutes to speak on anything. in the agenda, outside the agenda. Come to the podium, state your name and your address. If it's the same topic, let someone say something on it. If you're saying the same thing, just amen the first person.
Can't be the same if it's the first, right? I'm Greg Walker. I wanted to come tonight. We're owners of Fairhope Nutrition at the 9885 Alabama 104. You'll be familiar with that address at Publix at Platter's Point. So I wanted to just pass along my appreciation for your support of item number 23 tonight. We've been following this closely. We're very excited about the progress and what's to come quicker or sooner than later. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregg. We're happy for you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Carol Wilson, 489 Bartlett Avenue, Fairhope, Alabama. Coming to you tonight to update you on my progress or lack of progress with the City Library. I have not received any decision from the Fairhope Public Library, either from the director or the trustees, regarding the 2 reconsiderations filed on October the 5th, 2023 for the books Sold and the other book, Lighter Than My Shadow. As you may recall, Sold is a story about a young girl sold into sex slavery to pay off family debt. This book contains grotesque sexual activities, including the rape of a minor forced into prostitution, and explicit violence. Lighter Than My Shadow is a story about a young girl struggling with anorexia. It contains frequent obscene sexual activity, including sexual assault, nudity, profanity, self-harm, cutting, and suicidal ideations. I emailed an inquiry this afternoon to the library director and the chair of the trustees and copied in City Council Liaison Conyers to the Library Board of Trustees as to the policy, procedures, and process that the library follows when a reconsideration has been made. In particular, the concern is if there is any timeline or deadline in which a citizen would receive a decision. There are additional books that were challenged in October, and no response has been made either. Shine is a book about a 13-year-old girl who discovers hidden secrets about drugs, alcohol, and sexuality in her small town. The books Crank, Damsel, and The Haters are also laced with sexual activity, sexual battery, profanity, and drug abuse. Sadly, the longer it takes for the library to come to a decision, these books continue to be shelved in the teen section. On its face, it seems likely that the trustees are not concerned with the desire and right of parents and adults to oversee and control what their children should or should not be reading. Sadly, the longer it takes our city council and our mayors to either come before as concerned citizens, the longer it takes for these trustees to make a decision. While you work diligently and hard to create a magical setting for family-friendly environments, what lurks in our public library is nothing short of horror. I ask for your consideration as a concerned citizen to make your voice well known. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Anybody else? Anybody else? Public participation. All right, guys, seeing none, if I can get a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.